what got me back on the app was meeting up with Uncle Steve Appel, and Dr. Jordan in LA. We got together and hung out. Dr. Jordan almost killed me in his car, and but the three of us spoke about the state of the app, and hey, you should check it out again. And I didn't want to, because I didn't leave voluntarily, by the way. I mean, I could have just spun up an immediate burner account, and by the way, everybody's got burner accounts, and so I may have been on the app, I don't know, a half a dozen times during the time that I've been away, just to kind of check things out. And I don't think I ever got past more than 5 minutes of some of the nonsense, and I just left. But after connecting with people IRL, I was like, all right, we'll jump in. And then I wasn't really loving it, to be honest. I was like, dude, this is fucking getting lame. But most of that is because a lot of the people I enjoyed talking to just kind of had gone in different directions. And today, I look across the stage and I look at the audience, and I'm just like, all right, now we're talking. Now we're getting it back. So, anyways, I've just been enjoying my time away. PSA, I would recommend to all of you, as much as I, love to talk to all of you, I would recommend take at least a month. I took 6 months plus. Take some time and get away. Go do things that you haven't been doing. I would just highly recommend it. It's really good.
I agree. I was off this app for about 3 years.
I want to hear about Dr. Jordan's driving.
Oh my God! Have you not heard the story? Okay,
yeah.
I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. So we were hanging with Steve, and then Dr. Jordan and I decided we wanted to go to this young hip spot. So we get in his car. We're driving, we're talking, bullshitting. And for those of you that don't know Dr. Jordan, he's very neurotic. For those of you that do, he's just as neurotic in real life as he is on the app. And so, he's just kind of got this nervous energy that just kind of is part of his personality. And, we had just met in person, maybe an hour prior. And so he's just kind of dealing with maybe some nerves, right? So anyways, we're hanging out, and we're driving in the car, and we get to a stoplight. Now, all of you, I assume, drive. We get to a stoplight. It's red. I'm a passenger. He's the driver. And when the light turned green, for whatever reason, the car flies in reverse and then automatically stops. I believe his car is what stopped him, because there was a car behind him. And, it was this crazy whiplash. It really was crazy whiplash. And I didn't want to say a word, because I didn't want to I don't know, make Dr. Jordan any more nervous than he was. And so I didn't say a word. Then we go and eat. We're at this young, hip, fun place. We got to get this rock star treatment, because, I don't know, Dr. Jordan and I are a little out there. And so after a while, it was just a fun little scene. I don't mention the fucking incident at all. And then when we're wrapping it up and I'm about to take off and he's about to take off, I go, hey, dude, so you guys convinced me. I'm going to come back to the app, check some things out. And then he's like, oh, that's really cool. And then I go, we're going to have to talk about this car incident. And he just died laughing. And then the first time I told the story, he was on the stage, but he was with his dad, and he hit me up privately, and he was like, he's got a lecture from my dad.
I think his car was in reverse, though, at that traffic light. How did it go in reverse?
The two questions I had for him was, why on earth would you be at a traffic light with the car in reverse, and why, when the light turns green, would he literally punched it? We flew into reverse. I have no idea what he was trying to do. I couldn't explain it. I've asked him multiple times. He doesn't.
Automatic transmission or standard transmission?
Automatic.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bizarre. But I will say this, with all that said, I would gladly hang out with him again. He's not fucking driving, I will say that, but I would gladly hang out with him. Alright, we can move back on to the topic. Hubert, you got any thoughts on the topic of the room, or what's happened over the last day?
want to mention it again that the Islamic regime is a complete different thing. So you should differentiate it between this regime and the people.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Rash, can I ask you a couple questions? What do you think could be next? What do you think the people like Iran need?
It's a $1 million question, bro. The problem is that people really do not have the power, or they're not really have the ability to change the regime themselves. You know, IRGC have weapon, as one of you just mentioned earlier. People don't know what to do, and they don't have any real leader inside or outside the company. The exiled crown prince is someone who people can rely on, but the problem is that he's not that much charismatic, so he couldn't really draw the people's attention to himself. So we don't have anyone to lead this regime change.
So I have a
One
question.
scenario, yeah,
I have a question for you, Arash. Okay, so
yeah.
what is there the possibility of recruiting one of the generals to rebel and providing air support to some general in the Iranian military to take over the government? Presumably, a new government backed by the U.S. would be more friendly to the world than the.
It's not likely to happen because almost all the generals are loyal to the regime. So they come from the regime. They are loyal. They are loyal. They are brainwashed, and they don't do anything against the will of the supreme leader.
Are you in Iran right now?
Not at the moment. My family is.
And how are they doing?
They're doing good. Almost everyone are taking shelter to just be safe. And the main thing I told them, and I told Iranian people who I see in Clubhouse, that you should get away from those dangerous areas and nuclear plants and those factories and government-based buildings.
So did they feel the explosion where they're at?
No, because these 3 plants that the U.S. bombed were in the central area of Iran, but my family lives to the north of Tehran, which is it's close to the Caspian Sea, if you know the geography of Iran.
And the army is still strong over there? Like, what are they feeling in terms of them being safe with not agreeing with what's going on? I know you can't vocalize it there, or you can get killed, right?
Yeah, so the Army and IRGC, they've been merged for a long time. They just have different names. So we don't have really a military and an Iranian army and IRGC. They are both the same. The generals are both come from the same organization, and they don't really have the power to go against the bombards. But the only thing they can do, and they are doing, is to just shoot some missiles to Israel. It is the only thing they do, and they don't have the ability, or they can't really protect people, because most of those generals are not in the battlefield at the moment. Most of them are hiding hundreds of meters under the ground, especially the supreme leader.
I've got input to somebody ask a question, what does Iran do next? And I listened to a very interesting conversation on CNN, and there were Admiral, I think his name is Stativaris. He used to be the Supreme NATO Commander. He's not a household name. He's a U.S. Admiral, Navy Admiral. But he is a very articulate, well-written, well-spoken, and I listen to him when I hear him talk. And he said Iran's got three options. One is to go to the negotiation table to end the strikes and to negotiate how best to rid themselves of any and all nuclear weapons capabilities. Second option is continue as they're doing right now, continuing to strike Israel and hope that Israel gets tired and the world gets tired of continuous air warfare between Israel and Iran. And the third, he called it for Iran to go big, which would include striking U.S. bases around the Middle East and also closing the Straits of Hormuz, which I notice is a New York Post link up above in this room right now. And I can't think of any other options than one of those three for Iran. And Admiral Stativaris thought that it would be option two, that Iran would continue to pursue, at least in the short term. But I could also point out that if they close the Straits of Hormuz, what should the U.S. and Israel do and the rest of the world do about an act like that? Which cuts off 20% of the oil supply to the world immediately as soon as they start putting mines in the Straits of Hormuz.
So if, in my opinion, if Iran wants to close the Strait of Hormuz, they're killing themselves. It's a economic suicide, because 95% of Iranians' economy is through this strait. So through the Persian Gulf, this strait, and then Oman Sea. So if they do it themselves, they are just imprison themselves. I don't know what their plan is. Do they want to put pressure on themselves more, or I just don't get the point of doing so.
That's, they could be certainly shooting themselves in the foot, if not killing themselves. And but let me also ask a different question for the room to discuss. What if they start striking our troops? What if the United States established a naval blockade against Iran and did not allow any ships to enter or exit Iranian ports? That's something we can do. Should we do it if Iran starts striking U.S. facilities in and around the Middle East? And what would China have to say about that if we cut off all the Iranian oil supply going to China?
That's my question. Why the United States or Israeli troops go to Iran when they are bombing them from the Iranian sky? What's the point?
Well, to blockade the Iranian ports, you're not putting boots on the ground. You're doing what the British did to Napoleon during the Napoleonic Wars, a naval blockade. So that's what that's what happened in the Cuban Missile Crisis too. That avoids any idea of boots on the ground.
What's the consequence? Just
It's an act of war. I mean, if we did, that would open up the whole. It is a naval blockade has always been considered an act of war for a long, long time. So a naval blockade is not something you do for one day or one night, like the bombs that we just dropped. A naval blockade is an act of war, and I would argue to do so would require an act of Congress to authorize such a move. But if such a move is taken as a result of Iranian attacks on American forces, That's got to be one of the options that would be available to the entire National Command Authority, which and I would include uh, Congress in that mix.
I think if we were gonna, this would be unlikely, but the best case scenario for allowing us to get away with that with as little pushback internationally as possible is for China to recognize the importance of keeping that strait moving and keeping the ships, able to transport goods. If we could get China to, they don't have to help, but if they could just say, yeah, that's a good idea, that would go a long way. I don't think we can ever count on them to do the right thing now.
I got a quick question for Anson. He said they do the blockade, that'll be an act of war. So the bombing of the nuclear site, you don't see that as an act of war? I personally, I do. I was wondering how you feel about
Yeah, it is. It's an act of war, but it's a one-time act. I mean, I'm not arguing that Congress shouldn't have done. I think Congress should have been involved in the decision. They shouldn't have had a veto power, but they should have been involved in the decision at the classified level, not at the unclassified level. But a naval blockade, to be effective, takes months, if not years, to slowly strangle the economy of Iran. I mean, a naval blockade it's not like dropping a bunker buster bomb on a underground facility and destroying its ability to produce enriched uranium. That's a one-time thing. A naval blockade would string it out for a long time, but it could eventually lead to a total surrender, because the economy would be totally slaughtered, choked to death if we did something like that. And I think with two carrier battle groups, and nobody's mentioned, but I will sort of gloat a little bit because it was the service that I was in. There was a Triton submarine, I'm almost certain, that launched the cruise missiles. There were over 24 cruise missiles and from an American submarine. And that more than likely came from a Triton submarine that's been backfitted to carry cruise missiles instead of ICBMs. And that was, and you can, if we do a naval blockade, you can better believe that there'd be U.S. submarines all over the entries and the entry points of ports throughout the Persian Gulf held by Iran. One thing I can unequivocally do right now, though, is hand a salute to the members, well, to the U.S. military in general. This was truly a remarkable feat pulled off by the American military. And you can say what you like or don't like about the American military, but my hats are off to that whole chain of command, that whole organization, that they were able to pull off and execute something as flawlessly as this did. It was not easy to do, but they've been training to do things like this for 30 or 40 years, and they showed the ability to do it, and I'm proud of those men and women.
Right, one more question. What if it be revealed, like some reports, of course, America saying one thing, Iran is saying one thing. What if it comes that they didn't destroy those targets? Like, wouldn't that be a huge embarrassment to the country? Like, would that change anything if those targets still exist?
Well, it's going to take a while, to have the targets totally obliterated. We'll have to. We won't know for sure until we get boots on the ground to dig through the rubble, and God knows how long that's going to take.
It's 300 feet, right, Anson? They're 300 feet
200
down.
That's at least 200 feet down, and
And bombs go 200?
the bomb. Well, I'm not that familiar, but that's one of the reasons used. Somebody asked me a week ago, how many bombs would it take in order to destroy both underground facilities at Natanz and Fodor, or however you pronounce the two names. And I said it would take 15 or 20. Well, that was just a wild-ass guess. Haven't been in the military for 35 years, but that was a wild-ass guess. But it turns out we dropped 14 on them. And the above-ground facility, Isfahan, which is not an underground facility, and I'm hearing that that's where they were keeping the 60% enriched uranium that they had. That facility was by and large mostly destroyed by the cruise missiles fired by the American submarine.
Anson, I'm glad you're in the room because I wanted to understand this. The refueling in the air is extraordinary to me, how they pulled that off. And it sounded like they had to do it several times on this trip.
3 times.
Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, 3 times. And the amazing thing is they did it with hardly any communications. We had 125 airplanes involved in this, according to the TV, and 7 of them being B-2 bombers. And they carried out this 36-hour mission from start to finish with planes in the air. They carried it out. Well, nobody detected them. That's amazing. Over a 36-hour period, there wasn't a single shot fired against them because nobody could detect them. And they were able to carry it out without airplane-to-airplane communications by and large, because satellites can pick up those communications. And Iran might not have that capability, but certainly the Soviets and the Chinese do. And they could have, if they had heard this massive air armada headed their way, they could have picked it up electronically had that armada been talking back and forth to each other or talking back to the National Command Authority in Washington. And they did all that without talking to each other. That is an extraordinary feat. I understand how they did it, but that is truly an amazing and extraordinary military set of military actions.
Wow.
Just
and
truly amazing.
How long does it take when they do the refueling? How long does that actually take?
I'm not an aviator, but that gas flows very hot and heavy. I think an airplane stays hooked up to a tanker certainly no more than a half an hour, and but I'm guessing 15 minutes to a half an hour. If the airplane is almost empty and it's going to get a whole tanks fill up their top off their tanks, I'm guessing it takes 15-20 minutes. So you got to have a lot of tankers and that would be for a big plane like the B-2. The smaller fighter aircraft probably had to refuel more often. So there were a lot of tankers in the air, and again, I have no idea how many, but I know they were forward deployed. That was announced a week or so ago, and we probably had, 30, 40 refueling aircraft strung across the Atlantic, and some in the Pacific, and some over Europe. That was a remarkable logistics feat. Keeping 125 airplanes in the air for 36 hours, that takes a lot too. So hats off to the logistic part of this operation.
It's pretty incredible. Do we know, or maybe this is something they don't disclose, where they did the refueling, like what airspace?
Well, it would have been international airspace by and large. So I'm guessing, you fly, and again, I'm not a pilot, and I've never been involved in planning airstrikes or anything like that. If I had been, it would be 35 years ago when I did it. But to fly from Missouri to, it would be someplace probably over the eastern part of the Atlantic, or perhaps over the Mediterranean, where they would have done at least the refueling for the B-50, the B-2s. Then they fly over Iran, drop their bombs. They get out of Iranian airspace, and they're probably over the Indian Ocean when they refilled them after the strike was over, and they may have topped them off again on their return leg back to the United States. So 2 or 3 times they would have done refueling for the B-2s, and I have no idea how they kept all 100, the rest of those fighter bomber aircraft in the air all that period of time.
Thank you. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I saw one of them at Nellis. They did an air show, and they're pretty extraordinary to look at.
I lived on a 25-acre gentleman's farm for a couple of years in central Missouri. I live in southwestern Missouri now. Been here for 25, 26 years, but I lived not too far from Whiteman Air Force Base, and I could see the B-2s taking off and coming back in from exercises from time to time. The base was maybe 50 miles from my farm, and they're quite a remarkable. And I've seen them do flyovers at Army Air Force or Navy Air Force games. I saw B-2s do some flyovers at a couple of those games. And believe me, that it's unbelievable when you see. You don't see it. I mean, you don't. I mean, it's like a black. It's a thin black line until it almost is overhead, and then when it got overhead of the stadium, it went into a steep climb and gave it a full throttle and almost blew everybody out of their chairs in the stadium. Awesome power.
Thank you for that.
Hey, so what stocks should we keep our eye on that are going to go up this?
It's an interesting question. I hadn't thought about it. What do you think?
What's the question?
What stocks are going to go up when the market opens?
I don't have any idea. That's not my area of expertise at all.
Defense contractor.
We're too late. We're too late. All that was already planned, bought, purchased.
I get it. I get like that. If you would have bought it a week ago, a month ago, you're better. I understand how the market moves, but there's gonna be a spike, a big spike for a few things tomorrow. I'm trying to figure out what those things are gonna be.
You know what? I would follow Nancy Pelosi and basically all of the senators, all of them. There's a couple of websites to go to, but what they do is they follow all of those different accounts, and you can see kind of what they're buying and selling. So.
And even if you get Nancy Pelosi's trades 30 days later, you're still going to do well when they're made public.
I'm not a stock market person, but if you can invest in oil, that might be the way to go. If oil is probably going to go up. I don't know if you're going to do it, but if you can, that might be the way you can make some money.
Yeah, with the Strait of Hormuz being closed down, the price of oil is going to go up.
All right, so let's
So, of course, if the price of oil goes up and goes up dramatically, guess who benefits from that?
Russia.
You better believe it.
So, I'm looking at ChatGPT, and they're saying Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, and then on the oil side, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Occidental Petroleum, and then it says You should see an uptick in treasuries and the U.S. dollar, as well as gold and utility stocks. And regional winners, it says Tel Aviv's 125 and Tel Aviv's 35 should hit record highs after the strike. So yeah, just a little information out there.
I just, if you want to watch another stock, and I don't know which stock it would be, but they had the congressman for the district in Missouri where Whiteman Air Force Base is based, Whiteman Air Force, the B-2s are based, was on, I think it was Fox, it could have been CNN, and he was promoting, I didn't even know we were working on it, but the successor of the B-2, it's the B-21, and when the first B-2 was flown in 1989, and we were originally going to build about 100 of them, which would have reduced it would have been a very expensive program, but the per aircraft cost would have been much lower than what it turned out to be. We built 21 B-2s, and we have 19 left right now. And the cost of building those 21 was $2.6 billion per airplane, which is astounding for a single airplane. And they're talking about a B-21 where they would have 100 to 150 that they would plan on building in order to keep the unit cost down. But still, you're talking a multi-$100 billion program if we carry through with that. But those B-2s are getting old.
Well, let me read to you what I just pulled up. Thanks for bringing that up. So the B-21 Raider is built by Northrop Grumman, and it says that there's also several key suppliers: Pratt & Whitney, BAE Systems, Spirit Aerosystems, GKN Aerospace, Collins Aerospace, and Janicki Industries. So yeah, I guess those are all two, things to take a look at. If anybody wants me to repeat that, just message me privately, and I'll send you a link to what I'm looking at.
Hey, Anson, I was reading what you were saying about the B-2 bombers. The 21 made, 19 left, but they lost one. I'm not sure what happened to the other one. I'm sure you know. But is it true that only 6 to 8 is operational? Like they only keep 6 to 8 of them operational out of that 19?
And Hakeem, didn't some fly to Guam and some flew, and the ones that were in the operation came out of Missouri? So there has to be more than, how many flew this mission? 6 of them?
There were seven that dropped the bombs. And
how many went to Guam?
I heard 2 or 3 on TV, but they're all based in Whiteman Air Force Base in Warrensburg, Missouri, sort of in the center, west central part of the state, not too far from Kansas City. And that's where all the B-2s are based. And how many of the 19 do they maintain operationally capable? I would say a very, very high percentage of them, because they don't fly them that often.
Yeah, I'm not down here at all. I was reading it. They say 6 to 8 because it costs so much to keep them intact. So I read that they only keep. It was an estimate, of course. I don't know, but they say they estimate 6 to 8 are operational at any given time. I guess, of course, they could amp it up when they want to, but I've heard the norm was 6 to 8.
You know, Hakeem, it's funny. When I went to one of the air shows I was at, had the Thunderbirds. You know, if you're on one coast, you see the Blue Angels, you see the Thunderbirds. One of my questions was, those planes are pretty expensive, and you know they're using them for show and for theatrics and such. But they explained to me that all of those planes also can be retrofitted and fit out for battle. You know, so I imagine there is a process, and yeah, it's probably not cheap, but it is capable to turn them if we needed them.
Basically, all you'd have to do with a Blue Angel airplane is take it back to an aircraft carrier or a land-based airfield and put some weapons on it. That's how mission ready they are. Those planes are frontline combat aircraft that they're used for show, but they are fully capable of executing combat missions.
So here's
Both the pilots and the aircraft.
So here's some interesting information. The production goal for the B-21 is at least 100 aircrafts, although they say that there's options that exist for more. And the delivery timeline, they've already rolled out a couple, but they want to have the 100 all done by 2030, and that would replace the B1s, the B2s, and the price on these things are 550 to 750 million per aircraft, which, I mean, if you think about the value of that's actually pretty cheap. I'm actually surprised at the price.
Yeah, but that's the quoted price while you're trying to get the program through Congress. I'll guarantee you're going to be well over $1 billion per aircraft, if not a couple of billion in today's dollars, when the program really, if it gets authorized, if it really gets up and running.
100%.
So, I think the mix of low cost technology for the military and high cost is an interesting thing, because it doesn't cost a lot to produce drones, and that's going to be a big part of our future of warfare. And so to accompany it by these expensive bombers that can do very unique things that really no other air force in the world can do, I think this is a good investment. When I think of government spending, this is definitely not a line item I would want to.
So also, Roger, one Iron Dome battery, the battery is like 50 to 70 million. And then every time there's an interceptor, it's about 150,000 on the Iron Dome. And I think the David Sling is about 700,000 to 800,000 per missile. Do you think about the expense on that?
That's insane. I mean, I guess it's worth it, but just to hear them numbers is crazy numbers.
Crazy numbers, but there's no choice.
Oh, no
That
doubt,
was a
no
joint,
doubt.
that was Raytheon and Raphael Industries. It was a joint venture developing that.
And also, just because something's cheap to produce doesn't mean we're going to get it for cheap. I mean, when I worked for the federal government, there were items that were cheap to produce, but we had to buy them from Lockheed Martin and pay a shitload of money when we could have got it elsewhere for cheap. I mean, that's the definition of, that's a big issue with a lot of the government corruption. And I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Well, maybe if Trump could have got along with Elon, we could have got better pricing.
Elon definitely wasn't giving us discounts.
He was definitely taking a nice little magnifying glass to the budget. The problem is that for every cut he did, all that was eroded with the big, beautiful bill.
Well, okay. I think some of the cuts he claimed he did weren't actual cuts. I mean, he also claimed that he did cuts, GIS contract cuts, that were expired 15 years ago. Also, some of the cuts he claimed he did were against agencies that were investigating his companies. And also adding in his own company contracts, whether it's for Starlink, whether it's for the AI or the other stuff. So, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there were some useful things that were cut when he was swinging around the swords, just chopped and random shit. But, a lot of the stuff, I know for a fact.
So you're not an Elon fan?
No, not at all, 100%.
Why didn't you just lead with that? Because that would have saved us some time.
Has he been tweeting about this? I don't follow him.
I think Trump pointed them out. Like I haven't heard much since they look better.
Yeah, make no mistake about it. As much as I'm happy with Trump over the last couple of days for what he's doing here, I'm 100, actually 1,000% Team Elon with any conflict between Elon and Trump. Elon is the greatest entrepreneur in the history of the world. Full.
Wait, didn't we used to have the dipshit rooms? Remind me, was it?
Yes, there's this whole contingent of people that think Elon is a dipshit, and then when you start asking them about like their background, like they're really cool. Like they would say he's a terrible businessman, and then they've never opened a business themselves. It's just like.
Well, he is a con artist. I mean, you look at even his reported sales on Tesla. A lot of that, what year was that? I can't remember. A few years ago, 25% of his sales for Tesla or his net gains was from pump and dumps, from whether it was Dogecoin, the Bitcoin. I mean, he was just lying his ass off that people were going
You're
to.
talking about stock, not car sales, right? Can you please differentiate? You're talking about stock, not car sales.
Talking about
when you say sales,
Bitcoin. He actually added in Bitcoin to his sales on the company's revenue. That actually happened in that.
I think that was on the profit and loss. I think they took it off later too, or they sold the stock, the Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, he also, I mean, when he did that, that also added false valuation for his company. Also, he was a pro at getting the government contracts. And yeah, I mean, it was a bipartisan thing. Biden gave it to him like no issue. Trump gave it to him like no issue, or for certain things. And, Biden and Trump gave him different things. But, I mean,
Biden wouldn't mention his name, sir, for the first 2 years of his presidency. Buttigieg didn't even invite him to a battery conference. So whatever Biden did, he tried to do for Legacy Auto, and by accident helped Tesla. That's what Biden did.
well, okay, you are correct on that.
No, make no mistake, it helped Tesla, but not on purpose.
Yeah, you are 100% right on that. And,
I can make one contribution to this Elon conversation. Read his biography by, I've forgotten his guy.
Walt Isaacson.
Larry Isaacson. That was an astounding biography. And let me tell you, I was commissioned in 1965, and my whole career was in nuclear submarines. And it lasted until 1988. And I was a student of a program run by a guy named Rickover, Admiral Hyman Rickover. And I have never heard of a bigger asshole that was more effective than Admiral Rickover, the father of the nuclear navy. And let me tell you, it was a tough program to live under. But absolutely, he was a genius. And as I read Elon's biography, I thought, this is a clone of Admiral Rickover.
The other thing is Elon, we're fans, but we understand his faults, and he's got a lot. He had the biography written, we think, to show the good, the bad, and the evil. He didn't have to have a biography written at age 51. And when you see his childhood, when you see some of the things he's done, the failures he's had, to the times he was fired. I mean, they got so sick of him at PayPal, the whole board fired him. He was one of the founders. 2 months later, he did a rare thing. He went to each one of them and apologized. But he did walk into NASA and say, look, I'm going to build a reusable rocket. Hold my beer. And they laughed at him. And he also didn't take any money until he made the thing work. So he understands how much waste there is in the military purchasing system that we have. And things like that. He almost has a force of will to bring them about, and luck as well.
David, here's something that I just looked up that would probably be surprising to people, is that if you count state and federal funding to auto manufacturers, Ford Motor Company received since 2020 more than Tesla. Tesla, it's about 15 billion, and Ford at 17 billion. Very interesting. Nobody talks about Ford in this way.
Ford has $150 billion in debt. Tesla has $37 billion in free cash flow in the bank. And even during his worst quarter, the first quarter of this year, he put another billion in the bank. He's lowered cost of goods sold by making his cars 3 times in the last 2 years and improving them. So he is very driven, very hard to work for on the spectrum. I don't think that he should be in government. He wasn't elected. I know we like some of the results he was thinking of doing, but he's known for cutting things until they break, and it works in the factory. He made it work at X, but doesn't work as well in government because you can't build it back in government as easily.
I'm not gonna. The guy is an interesting guy, 100%. I mean, he is a one of a kind, and I actually used to be a big fan of Elon Musk. I actually used to really like him, and I think the downturn for me was realizing the whole pump and dumps he was doing for the Dogecoin and Bitcoin. I thought he was actually promoting Dogecoin because he was like wanting to do the people a favor and saying, yeah, let's promote this, make money. But in turn, he was making money out of it, and his company was. So that was my kind of downhill turn on it. And then when he joined the government, I mean, I'm a former government. I had a lot of friends that worked for a lot of agencies, whether it's still for the Homeland Security, for the Fish and Wildlife. I currently work in the conservation field, and I know people's jobs that are unfairly cut. And these people aren't making hardly any money.
Wait, what do you mean unfairly cut? Like if the idea that people are entitled to government jobs or that the government is even within the scope of what they need to be doing when it comes to some of these agencies, honestly, I don't think the cuts went deep enough. Every time a government worker gets fired, I believe an angel gets their wage.
Yeah, let me speak on it. Can you speak on that? So some of the cuts that I'm referring to, and there's a lot of waste and abuse in the government, 100%. I'm not going to disagree with that at all. But a lot of that's not what was cut. So the individuals that were cut were, the first rounds were the people that were in the government for less than 2 years. So example, some of the people I knew that worked for the Fish and Wildlife, they used to work for the state, and then they went over to Fish and Wildlife because it's more pay and better benefits. And just you get a retirement.
If they were on probation, it was easy for him to cut. Yes.
Correct. Yes, they were on probation. It was under 2 years. But
probation doesn't mean they were doing a bad job. It would.
Correct, but that's what they were told they were fired for. So their paperwork literally said you're being fired for bad performance, or not bad performance. I can't remember the first word. For something it's similar to bad. So pretty much bad performance. And locally here where I live, the supervisor was warned 2 hours, and they said you have 2 hours to fire these people. So these people were hardworking people, worked their ass off, working temporary jobs all over the country just to get a permanent position for stuff we need. And these aren't just people that are just wasting their tax dollars. These are actually people that are doing important things for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. Also the EPA, oversights for the companies. One of the reasons why he wanted to get rid of the EPA, the staff of the EPA, and Russell Waltz, who also wanted to get rid of it, is they didn't want oversight for companies. I'm sorry, but these companies, a certain percentage of these companies are dumping PFAS, all these forever chemicals in our water, and this new government wants to allow that. There were
Hold on. Slow down. The EPA doesn't protect the environment. Let's be very clear on that. What the EPA does is simply says you can pollute the environment, but if you do, we're going to tax you for it. And so I would rather see a system that is more punitive for people that do poison the environment and allow the court systems to do what they're supposed to do, and make companies afraid of polluting because they can be sued in court. I think that's a bigger fucking way to handle this. I think anybody that simps for the EPA doesn't understand what the EPA.
So what you just said does happen. It happened here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. They were sued. There was a paper towel manufacturer and a fire foam manufacturer that were dumping PFAS in the Fox River, Green Bay, and you can look this up. I can provide information. They thanks to the help of the EPA for providing that information, they were sued and they were ordered to pay millions of dollars, I should say, not billions, millions of dollars to do a cleanup of it to try to help with the cleanup. Now that when you do that cleanup, you have these pretty much a big vacuum that sucks the debris in the water, because those chemicals will be there forever. They don't just dissipate. To suck them out, was it a perfect solution? No, but it did help the water quality and the quality of the fish. So that actually does happen. The EPA is involved with doing that, and that does happen to companies.
So if we can go backwards before government, he built an electric car company that should never have existed. That was successfully built another car company in the last 50 years. We have Neuralink. We talked to patient number 2 who has ALS, totally paralyzed. It's a chip in his head. He can talk to his family, experience his family, live at home, and live a much better life. We have battery storage going on. Shanghai just bought $500 million backup battery that can power their entire grid. Robotaxi is coming tomorrow to Austin. Optimus, no matter how you feel about robotics, AI, all of these things are things that he's pushing very hard. Space exploration, one of the hardest things to solve. And he has great people around whom are mission driven. So yes, the government part, I think he's not suited for. Many other things before that, by his force of will and being someone who hires great people. Obviously he didn't do it by himself. He saw Sam Bankman-Fried in a meeting in the first 10 minutes and figured out he was a fake. Those are accomplishments that we wouldn't have, certainly not have assumed without Elon.
Yeah, he is great at all that stuff that he mentioned, 100%. There's no denying. I think.
So I agree with the side of him. I agree with the side of you that there is a side of him that he's not suited for. On the whole, I'd say when people paint him with that brush you mentioned, lays this out chapter and verse. His first chapter on his childhood is brutal, but after that, it's a great read. And I'll send you a free copy if you want from
Yeah, definitely. I would read that 100%. And yeah, what I know is
which is his work in government, his argument with the current president. I mean, you're going to call the president a pedophile. Most people don't forget that. So, just had to walk back some of that stuff.
Yeah, how dare you call someone a pedophile? It's a pedophile. That is so wrong.
You think that Donald Trump is a pedophile, the king?
There'll be accusations of it, 100%.
So if there's an accusation of something, we should then assume that the accusation is true.
I think it's mean to go with his history and the things he said out his mouth. Including how he wants to lock him with a good team because he could be, if it's blue side, you such and such evidence to do the thing, yeah, I don't want to see this side.
It's this era of guilty before proven. We've gotten away from guilty, innocent until proven guilty. You guys like the guilty before even going to court. An accusation is not an admission of guilt. It's not evidence of guilt. What you guys typically do is you find somebody that you don't like already, and then if there's an accusation, you weaponize the accusation
I would just say hold the same standard for everybody, and we'd probably be in a better place.
Hey, I got a bit of news flash for you, Rod. America have never, despite their rhetoric, have never been innocent until proven guilty. That's never been a thing in America.
Well, I agree in certain contexts. I mean, the whole bail situation. It's somebody's not proven guilty, and we hold them there as if they were. I agree. There's certain elements of that, but that's the spirit in which we were supposed to embrace. But now what we've done is we've just thrown out the entire spirit of it, and we're not charitable at all about. As soon as an accusation comes in, we're just on it. How many of you guys stopped watching Kevin Spacey movies because of accusations, and now that he's been exonerated, none of you guys want to even apologize to him?
Mojo, you're not wrong 100%. I agree with a lot of what you're saying there. But also, I would be shocked if his allegations against Trump are true. But you are right.
Actually, Elon did this once before. I don't know if you remember. I don't know, it's 5 or 10 years ago. We had the man who was in charge with a lot of kids, adolescents, who were caught in a cave, right? And they had to swim out. And I think the Navy SEALs, someone went to swim with each one of them to rescue them. But it was a matter of days. And they were in an area with air, and their leader taught them to breathe slowly and yoga, and somehow Elon called that guy the P word, and he was sued. Elon won in court. I don't know how, but this has already happened once before with Elon. He got a little mad because he wanted to go in and save them, and they didn't want to use his system.
Interesting. Pat in the chat says, wait, that's how ICE is handling court in the streets. Brown folks guilty until they prove they supposed to be here. That wasn't very good English, but I get the point that you're trying to make. I would wonder, Pat, do you know what the role of ICE is supposed to be? I'll wait. You know the worst part of these fucking ICE raids are? I'll be very selfish about this, but I sincerely believe that the worst part of the ICE raids is that you can no longer drive up to a Home Depot and get somebody to help you with a project. I think that is a tragedy. I think that's the biggest tragedy. That's the biggest problem that I see with all.
I think that
Aurora one still has guys outside.
I think that's because Trump is not doing what he said he's going to do. He's going after any illegal immigrant that he can find, although he talked about going after the criminals. He's just trying to meet a quota opposed to actually doing what he said he's going to do. So that's why you can't find people Home Depot, because the hard-working illegal, they are illegal immigrants, are trying to do the right thing, but Trump want to stop them. But he's walking that shit back because he realized he needs them, the people need him. But he should have just stayed focused on what he talked about.
Interesting. Look, the problem with immigration in this country, Trump doesn't really want to fix it. Republicans in general don't want to fix it. Democrats sure the fuck don't want to fix it. The problem is not about illegal immigration. It's become about that because we didn't have a thoughtful solution to legal immigration, making it more efficient. I'll say this as clearly as I can. Anyone that comes in this country should be processed and inspected period, full stop. And if we don't have the resources to do that, then we should reduce the number of people coming in. And I say that as somebody that I want to expand illegal immigration. I'd like to see 1 billion Americans. I think America's too small. I think we need more people. I'm a huge advocate for legal immigration, but I have zero, and I mean zero, tolerance for illegal immigration. In fact, if you left me in charge of it, if somebody came in illegally, I wouldn't just send them back to their nation of origin. I would send them to Antarctica, just to make the hurdles more difficult for them to try to do it again. I think if we fix it, but we do have to fix the legal immigration problem first, and then we can take an extreme hard line on illegal immigrants. And anybody that simps for illegal immigrants, like, just kindly go fuck it. By the way, Ellis Island proves that we can do what I did.
Well, and hey, I wanted to speak really quick about your Home Depot problem. Post-COVID, 2021, I got kind of canceled and pushed out of my industry. 24 years dedicated, I kind of got pushed out because of the mandates in California. And I could not find a good job. Everything is all minimum wage and higher with my high school education. And my experience could go do some hard stuff, which I'm not afraid of. But anyways, starting to do a labor type hauling business, because of the shortage, I've been so busy and I'm like overbooked, over a month, which is just something I never expected. And raised my rates, which they're still way low. So increases on labor rates. Yeah. So there are people out here doing the work no one wants to do. And I appreciate what's going on because I've gotten a raise and 36 days out of work. I've worked in the last 55 days. I've had 2 days off. So I'm super thankful and it's all going great.
Yeah, look.
Shout out to the laborers doing the work none of you all want to do.
Well, I will say this though, to the laborers, increase your knowledge, skills, and ability, and your income will also rise. That being said, we do need laborers.
And then with that, we got to pay more for produce. I'm not saying this is a good or bad thing, but people complain about pricing, of eggs for 4 years. So we're okay with strawberries going to $12 a pound, or you know what I'm saying? Just pick your poison. Just know what you're voting for.
Their form of income. Income.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay, sorry.
Hold on 1 second. I've been hearing this thing about oh man, if we crack down on illegal immigration, a head of lettuce will cost $10, blah blah blah. Listen, there's nothing wrong with inspecting and processing people and making them legal. And when the people are saying, hey, just be careful what you wish for, the price of a vegetable might go up. So what you're really saying is that you're comfortable with exploiting people that come from another country. And I think that's very interesting when I see a person of color that is advocating for the exploitation of labor of people that are brown. It's very interesting.
Hey, definitely not what I said. I just said just know what you're voting for. You can't complain under Biden. I ain't saying you in particular. A person can't complain under Biden about prices and then be okay with higher prices at the expense of getting rid of what we call illegal immigrants. I'm not taking a stand. I'm gonna eat fruit regardless, but you can't complain about prices and want higher prices.
Hakima, you know what I hope? I hope the price of dates goes up just for you.
Hey, dates are expensive already, Roger. Shut the fuck up.
I know they're hell of expensive. When you were talking,
every dollar there, they are worth every dollar.
So when you were talking about dates, I started doing some research, and I was like, dude, this might be the most legit superfood ever. And so, I started buying them, and, dude, now it's a tiny little fucking package. You might get like 10 dates in this package, and it's like $10. It's like $1 a date. It's like this is fucking crazy. That is not.
Let me help you, Roger. Add something to your date. It's gonna be even more of a superfood. It's like the best and the most healthy snack you will ever find. Add cashews to your dates. Like, eat them how you want. Eat a date, bite a date, eat a cashew, mix it up, chew them together. You're gonna have the most amazing experience of your life. It's better than any sweet you ever tasted, but it's 100% healthy. You can do too much, but mix some dates and some cashews. It's gonna blow your mind, I promise.
Cashews and dates. Okay, I'm on it.
Shit your brains out if you eat too much.
Now, I disagree with that, though, because, it's a great mixture. The sugar from the dates is being balanced by the fiber inside the cashews, and there's a proper amount of fat. Of course, like I said, you can go overboard, but if you have a nice, modest amount, a good handful of fucking cashews and like 6-7 dates, you're gonna enjoy that 10 minutes of your life, I promise. And it's gonna be healthy, completely healthy.
What else we got for superfoods? We got dates. We got cashews. What are we adding to the list?
Sea moss.
What were you talking about? Was that you, Roger, with lentils and whole grains? Something else?
I fuck with lentils sometimes, but quinoa is probably something I want more than lentils.
Stinging nettle. I forage it myself, and it's healthy as fuck.
So you boil it?
Yeah, you could boil it. You can cook it like spinach. Put it in a blender. So, but once you even like add it in the blender, the stinging mechanisms, I don't know the science behind it, will go away. But when you harvest it, you just got to make sure you wear gloves.
Interesting. I've been drinking a lot of bone broth. That's been the new kit.
Try chicken feet, guys. Chicken feet. Do research on it. You're gonna freak out.
Damn, you said chicken feet and Holly jumped in the room. It's amazing.
I wouldn't take that, Holly, if I was you. And you going Hardy. Like, come on, Holly.
I don't even know what it means.
That's what I'm saying. I just wouldn't be one to be associated with chicken feet. I'm sorry.
I don't know. It doesn't sound that bad to me. Is it like some voodoo shit?
No, I'm serious. If you guys somebody just Google it right now, the nutritional factors that you get from chicken feet, it'll blow your mind. It's huge in the Asian culture, and if you notice, they always look young.
Yeah,
well, until they don't. Hold on one second. Look, can we talk about Asian people? They look super fucking young, then they hit a wall, and then they look like they're 900 years old. They literally, they look young for like 75 years, and then all of a sudden, instantly, they look like Yoda. I don't fucking understand.
That's hilarious. Hey, did the chicken feet have like collagen in it or something?
Yeah.
Am I?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But you got to be careful, like where you get the chicken feet from, because when they inject the hormones, they inject it through the feet. So you have to, but it's packed full of nutrients. It's got the most nutrients you can get from an animal.
You can have all of mine, and too many cashews are a problem too. So go easy on the cashews. I love them, but
Wait, what's wrong with cashews? Oh.
Well, everything in moderation, right? Nuts are high in protein, but they're also high in fat. Fat can be good for you if you're eating the right fats, but you could overdo anything. The other thing is if you have people in your family that have like diverticulitis or whatever, be careful with pretty much any nut.
For digestion, yeah.
You're a nut.
Or if
What
you're
about macadamia nuts?
in general,
Stomach.
most nuts.
Listen to you. You know, it's funny. I could, if you would have told me like what nut Holly would talk about, I knew it would be macadamia nuts. It certainly wasn't going to be Brazil nuts. By the way, is everybody familiar with what Brazil nuts? What their other nickname is? Anybody know that name?
Turds.
No. Hakima, you're gonna love this one. Brazil nuts. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, it's something about toenails or something like that. Something about a nail.
Inward toes.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, next time you go into your grocery store, go into the produce section and then ask somebody to help you find the end toe.
Hey, since we're talking about nuts, just so everybody know, what you might know, but if you don't, peanuts are not nuts, and they are not good for you. Avoid peanuts and peanut butter at all costs. Unless you want to just try to bulk up and be unhealthy. But if you want to be healthy, avoid peanuts.
So, I don't know if I agree with that. And I mean, Roger's right.
That's a fact. It's objective fact. A peanut is not a nut, and they're not good for your body. Don't break it down right. They don't digest properly. Like they taste okay, but like peanuts are not nuts. That definition, they are not.
But I think that's a newer thing, man. I think you guys are pretty much my age. When I was younger, there was no fucking problem with peanuts. There's something that I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Don't offend us, BB. Like we're nowhere near 50.
Speak for yourself, mother. I'm almost there.
Akima, you're 55, bro. I knew.
I'm 48. I'm almost there. I'm kicking the door down.
Dude, how does it feel to be almost 50? Is your back hurt?
Honestly, where I'm at right now, I feel better at 48 than I did at 30. Like I said, I was overweight for a lot of my life, and now I'm probably in the best shape of my life. So right now, 48 is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
At 49, I got ready for 50 for a year in the gym. Same thing at 59. 70 is the first time I slowed down.
Yeah, I had no idea y'all were this old. Like, I had no... You don't sound like you're 70, David. Like, you give me, 45.
I have a lot of young people around me to keep me young.
Can we talk about, I was on a plane ride recently, and there was a book that was showing the fruits and vegetables that you eat resemble the body organ that it actually helps. Like a pomegranate is great for your heart, a walnut, great for your brain, tomato, and it actually, when you cut them in half, they actually look like the organ. It's fucking crazy.
And it ain't that crazy when you know God exists. You just know that he did God was just being God.
So let me ask this. I want to ask this question to Mother and Holly. Do you guys think there's any truth to the rumor that semen is good for a face, like for the skin? Do you guys use semen to cleanse your face?
What? Hold on, did I miss something? Oh no, you said that's the Mother and Holly. I'm sorry. Shut the fuck up.
I don't doubt it. But I personally do not use semen on my face.
I mean, doesn't sperm have a lot of positive enzymes and zinc and protein? It wouldn't shock me
if
it was
mostly
good for your
water and a little bit of those things, but I'd keep it out of your eye. That's for sure.
So yeah, I mean, I figured it would be better than just water.
Interesting.
Why you want to try it, Mojo?
Listen, typically, where I like to put my load would be inside a female's anatomy. It's just less messy that way. I'm not a big fan of hey, pull it out and put it on her boobs or put it on her back. Nah. I'm gonna put it where I was designed to put.
So there was this one guy I was dating, and he was insistent on nutting on my face, and I was like, dude, stop. No, that's never gonna happen. And then I knew he was toxic. That's usually a red flag. If a man is pressuring you to nut on your face,
It's definitely a flex for sure. It's a flex.
Holly went on mute because she doesn't want to get caught up in this madness.
I mean, people love to pretend like they haven't tried before.
It's funny. I asked Holly and Mother, and then Kima came off mute. He was like, "Let me speak on that."
Yeah, I walked dead into a fucking alley. I had no business in. I had to rewind.
But to be fair, of all the people in this room, Kima probably has the most experience. He's got like 55 kids.
57. Don't sell me short. I got 57. Don't sell me
And they're all awesome. One more awesome than the rest, I would say, but they're all awesome.
Yeah, they are getting better. This 1 year old right there, this fucker is gonna be. I ain't calling him a fucker, but he's gonna be. I promise, he's gonna be like 7'9", like 900 pounds, like all muscle. Like it's like just watch. You see, watching like 10 years, you're gonna see a fucking Hulk. You're gonna see a fucking Incredible Hulk walking around in real life.
Hey, what about your other son that was gonna get drafted? Did that happen?
Oh yeah, he played for the Cowboys. He signed a contract with the Cowboys for $3 million, then got released, made some of the money, then had a trial with the Raiders. But not actually, he's in the CFL right now, working to get back to the NFL. So he did make it, but he got waived. Yeah. His name Jason Johnson. If anybody wants.
That's really cool, though. I mean, like, look. A lot of people don't give thought. Like, they'll see somebody make the NFL and get cut, or make the NFL and ride the pine, and they'll be like, "Oh, that guy sucks." And it's like, dude, if you ever get signed by an NFL team, you are one of the very best human beings to ever play the sport. I mean, people don't put this in its proper context. There's not many people that get to play or even get signed in the NFL. So that's good shit, dude.
I think while we're talking about Kima history, I was very mistaken one day in a room talking about maybe how often people have been shot at. And Kima mentioned over 10 times, Kima? At least 10?
Every time I've been shot at, yeah. I've been shot once, shot at well over 10 times. I probably can't even count. Like, yeah, well over there.
So, God wants you here.
Somebody didn't though, but I guess God won that battle so far. So I appreciate it.
I got a guy in my business group, and I have to say this really quickly. Baron Lee, L.I. You can look it up, and then you can Google it. He was going through a nasty divorce, and his wife, who was of Vietnamese descent, hired 2 high school kids to take him out, and they pumped 10 bullets into him while he was sitting in his car in his apartment house parking lot, and he's lived, and he's doing quite well. Runs a great handyman business.
So you mentioned, I never mentioned, like the mother of my child right now, my 1-year-old, she was 4 years ago. She was shot 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's still kicking, but yeah. Some people are blessed. We call that blessed, but yeah.
I don't understand.
What don't you understand, Holly?
Like, how is this happening?
People getting shot?
Yeah, why does this keep... Why?
It happens a lot in America.
I mean, America is built on war. Like, look at the war that's going on right now. Like, they might drop nuclear bombs, so they wonder why humans shoot each other. Like the apples don't fall far from the tree.
I think it's bigger than just guns. I think it's a cultural phenomenon in this country. Like, this is just an aggressive nation, and then we train our people to be aggressive as a social norm, and therefore we have higher death rates. I think it's more than just guns or access. This country glorifies aggression. It's true.
Let me ask you this. Do you think you would feel safer if you were in, like, I don't know, like, you think you would feel safer in Venezuela?
I don't think Venezuela is a good example. This is basically a gang running like a...
Okay, what about Brazil? I'm just keeping. I just want to keep in the Western Hemisphere, right? Like,
not Rio, but yeah, parts of
When it-
Australia.
when it comes to feeling safe, the only country that I feel safer than in the Western Hemisphere is Canada. There's nothing in Latin America that I would feel safer in than the U.S. Period. The Caribbean can be very dangerous for certain people. Here's Issa. She could speak on this stuff. Let's see if we can bring her up. Issa, we were talking about countries to feel safe in, and I was telling Mother that I feel. How about in Latin America? Like, which country do you feel the safest in?
Oh yeah, if shit hits the fan here in Europe, I definitely go back to my country. Nothing is gonna happen there.
I'm talking about just like we were talking about like violence, like on the street, like getting robbed or shot or whatever. And Nicholas was making the point that he thinks that the U.S. is the worst, and I think that there's many countries in the Western Hemisphere that are far more dangerous.
I don't know, dude. I mean, in Guatemala, it's still illegal to shoplift. You know, it's not the case anymore in the U.S.
They actually ended the whole allowing you to shoplift thing. That ended at the end of last year.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's just like a mentality thing, but I feel safer in my country than in your country.
Interesting.
Maybe because I know already like how to navigate, and so I kind of like already have it measured. But yeah, I don't know.
I think feeling safe is like kind of subjective though. Like you say, like you're in an environment. Like I'm in Chicago and I feel totally safe on just about any street except if I go to Mexican neighborhood, I don't feel safe. But like most of the places in Chicago where most people won't feel safe at, I'm perfectly fine. Not saying I am perfectly fine in reality, but I feel that way.
Yeah, because you already know how to navigate, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I'm in Mexico, and I actually feel safer in Mexico than I do anywhere in the United States. It's crazy to even think that, but that's where.
Despite the hospitality of the people in Tijuana, I wouldn't exactly describe the way I felt in Tijuana as safe.
Well, that's in Tijuana. You know, maybe you're over by Revolution and all that. You know, the tourist places. But
I was at the Hong Kong club.
Well, Hong Kong is a little different.
Is Tijuana like a narco state?
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah,
no, it's not. No, it's not. It's there's a mix of things in Tijuana. There's medical tourism is huge. Like if you want to get dental work and you're in the Southwest United States, going to Mexico, going specifically to Tijuana is like a big popular thing. And then the other thing is the whorehouses. People like to go to the whorehouses in Tijuana.
I think part of the reason why I feel relatively safe going back to DR is because I know that most of the crime is just focused on like petty theft, you know, like grabbing your purse or pickpocketing or whatever. Like it is very unlikely that you're going to get gunned down or kidnapped in DR. You're probably just going to get your wallet.
Well, I mean, you can also find yourself in the middle of a crossfire. But
is that a thing in Nicaragua?
No, in Guatemala.
Oh, Guatemala. We don't really like. It's pretty rare, like because guns and like usually you have to have some level of organized crime. So you can't manufacture guns on that island, right? Haiti gets most of their illegal weapons from Florida or from the U.S. But like for the most part, like the people who have weapons on our side of the island are police officers. They carry the big AK-47 type of weaponry you see in like Mexico. And that's why when Americans flip out about like, oh, you know, military weapons for the police, I was like, that's just normal for us. That doesn't.
Oh yeah. You see a lot of guards and police and whatever with the big guns, but people carry guns in my country.
Oh.
Like normal people carry guns. Yeah.
I just we were talking earlier about stock market on Monday, what it's going to do. There's this article I just opened up that says S&P 500 and NASDAQ futures set for volatile open as traders brace for sector rotations after Iran strike. Brent crude may approach $90 if Iran supply drops. Goldman Sachs outlines oil price risk as trading reopens. Traders expect energy gains and tech pressure as markets reprice geopolitical risk at Monday's open. So I'm going to buy some Northrop Grumman tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know about
You better get in them oil stocks. You get in them oil stocks. I told you, and you just confirmed it. You better get in them oil stocks.